Welcome. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to erase the background of an image so that you can superimpose yourself or someone else onto a different background picture. I'm going to use an Apple computer, but this technique will work on any computer because we are using a web-based program.
First, you just need to make sure that the image that you want to edit is uploaded onto your computer already. Mine's right here on my desktop. And then we're going to use a browser to start. So I'm just going to use Firefox, but it doesn't matter what you use. And then you're going to type in FotoFlexer, FotoFlexer.com. This is how you spell it right here. And then you click on Upload Photo. We're trying to take the photo that you have on your computer and upload it into the application so that we can do some editing to that image. The next box that's going to flip up here is your gray upload button. Then we click on that gray upload button. And then you need to find your picture. Mine's right here on my desktop. And then I click on open. You will have to look through your computer to find where you put that file. So when you save your pictures, be sure to pay attention to where those files are so that they are easy to find when you're ready to edit those images in this application. Right away, I see that my image is sideways. It's in a landscape orientation and I need it to be rotated so that it's in a portrait orientation. So the basic tab is what is sort of the default toolbar that shows up on your screen when you open a new photo in FotoFlexer, and rotate is one of your options. So I'm going to click on rotate, and now I have my image in the position that I want it in. It's a little small to see, so I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so I can see better what I'm working with, because I'm going to be cutting around my image next. To get that tool, we're actually going to go to this Geek tab. On the Geek tab, we have something called Smart Scissors. Once you click on the Smart Scissors, you're going to go over to your image and you'll see this little dot following your arrow, the cursor arrow. You're going to click somewhere on your image to start, just around the outside of it. I'm going to click just at the top of this basketball here. And when you click, it connects this dot to another dot with a blue line. And so that blue line is telling you what you want to cut out. Now, the computer tries to recognize the contrast between what you're probably trying to cut out and the background of your image. So you don't have to do a lot of little dots. You just kind of stretch it out. If you'll see, I'm going to do my next point on this ball right around here, and you're going to see this blue line turn into a red line around the ball. It kind of makes that curve for you because it can tell you're probably trying to cut around that. If you make a mistake, so let's say I cut off more of my arm than I meant to, it did that right there. You see how it's kind of cutting into his arm. You have two choices. You can either go to undo, and it should go back one for you, or you can fix it at the end. So I'll show you at the end other ways that you can fix it. So I'm just going to keep tracing around this person in my photo. And as I'm doing that, I'm checking to see if that red line is getting what I want it to do. I can already see that this point down here is something I'm going to want to fix, but I'll get to that later when I show you how to fix things at the end. So again, you're just clicking your mouse around the edge of your photo. When you get to the spot where you need to see the rest of your image, you just move your cursor over. Don't worry about that line following you. And you're going to scroll down and continue where you were, tracing around. If you feel like every time you click and the red line is not how you're wanting it to be, just start clicking those dots closer together. The closer the dots are together, the more accurate the sort of smart part of the Smart Scissors is. So I'm going to keep going around here. I've got these little fingers I'm getting around. You can see it's pretty good at following the edges. And if it doesn't do what you want it to do, again, you just click on undo or try to fix it at the end. As you start to get towards the end, you're trying to get back to your original point. When you do that, it'll light up green. and we'll click on it. If you like what it did, then you don't need to click undo. But if you'll notice, you want to go back and kind of look at your image and see any spots that you're not happy with. So I remember this spot down here wasn't quite right when I did it. You can actually click on those points and move the line, and then it's getting to be a lot more accurate. If there's a point you don't like, you don't have to have a point for it already. Just click on the areas of the red line you want to move until you feel like you have it adjusted how you want. Once you're happy with this, then you're going to go to this button that says Create Cutout. That's right up here. So click Create Cutout. And then I'm going to zoom back out for you here. Now you'll see that there's this signature gray and white checkerboard behind the image. That tells you that that is transparent, it's clear, we're taking that background away from the image, which is great. So we're all set, except for our image has some cutouts where these areas that are part of this image are inside this person's body, and we need to cut these out so that the background shines through in that part of the image. We don't want this part of the door to be shining through or peeking through those negative spaces. So I'm going to click on Smart Scissors again. And again, we're just going to quickly trace around the edge of this cutout. The only trick is that the computer is thinking you want to save this part of the image, just like the beginning when I cut around this person. And so when that happens, when I get to the end, it's going to make it look like I'm cutting out all of this area and that I'm saving this. That's not what I want. I want the reverse. So you click on Invert, and that is going to invert that so that now this is what's being cut out. And then I can click on Create Cutout, and then that piece is cut out again. Now I have this other area down here. So I'm going to click on Smart Scissors again, and then again, trace around this area. It is thinking that I want to save this area and cut out this. That's not what I want. I want the reverse. So I click on Invert, and it's going to get rid of this area as long as I remember to go back up here and click Create Cutout. Now if I get a look at this, I have these cutouts, and all of these areas are going to be clear if I save this file correctly. So to save this file, you are going to go to Save, and you are going to click down here. Right now the format says JPEG as how you're going to save the file. If you save it as a JPEG, it is going to save your background as white. If you do this accidentally, we can fix it later, but the easiest way to maintain this clear background is to change the format to a PNG file. It even says right here, preserves transparency. That means that when you save the file, this area of the photo will remain clear so that whatever you put this picture onto, the background will the background of the other photo will show through in these areas. So make sure you save it as a PNG, and then we click on Save Computer. At that point, it's up to you where on your computer you want to save the file. And then for our purposes, we're just going to put that photo into a PowerPoint file and do some more editing of the image there. And we'll cover that in the next tutorial. Right here, you'll notice that it is still says PNG. Again, that means that it's going to allow you to keep that area clear. I'm just going to write basketball as I save that image. It's on my desktop. Great. And now that I know that that image is on my desktop, I can just show you the difference. Here's our original image that has the background where the picture was taken. And this down here is the image with the background cut out. And once we place this, I did this pretty quickly, so there are some little areas where it's not quite perfect. So you can either go a little bit more slowly, or notice that when we do superimpose this image onto another background, you're not even going to notice those little areas, but that's just a note to you. So here's our before and our after, and in the next tutorial, we'll show you how to place this image in another on top of another photo to make it look like you are somewhere else.